What if one decision, one act of courage, could change not just a life, but an entire generation? 2026 was not just another year, it was a declaration. A declaration that no matter how uncertain the world becomes, the human spirit is stronger. When people are given the right tools, the right support, and the belief that they matter, they don't just survive, they rise. This year the mission was simple but powerful. Create lasting impact by meeting people at their point of need, empowering them to transform their own futures. From delivering millions of meals to families facing hardship to supporting youth with education, mentorship, and life-changing opportunities, every initiative was driven by one unwavering belief: change is possible when action replaces intention. Impact is not measured only in numbers, but in moments. A child discovering hope, a family finding stability, a community stepping into possibility. In 2026, those moments multiplied. This year in review is more than a summary of achievements. It is proof of what happens when compassion meets strategy, when generosity meets execution, and when ordinary people decide to create extraordinary outcomes. Because when we change one life, we don't just alter a story, we transform the future. Throughout 2026, we witnessed something extraordinary: people stepping beyond comfort and into contribution. Volunteers who gave their time not because it was convenient, but because it was necessary. Partners who aligned their resources not for recognition, but for results. Teams who worked behind the scenes with relentless focus, ensuring that promises became outcomes and outcomes became impact. Millions of meals were distributed to families who faced the harsh reality of food insecurity. But it wasn't just about food. It was about dignity. It was about a mother being able to sit at the table with her children and feel relief instead of fear. It was about a father regaining strength because the burden of uncertainty had been lifted, even if just for a moment. Hunger doesn't only weaken the body, it challenges the spirit. It's when we meet that need, we restore more than nutrition, we restore possibility. Education remained a cornerstone of transformation. In underserved communities, access to quality learning resources opened doors that once seemed permanently closed. Scholarships were funded. Mentorship programs expanded. Young leaders were trained not only in academic excellence, but in emotional resilience and leadership skills, because knowledge alone is not power. Knowledge applied with confidence, supported by belief, that is power. We saw youth who once doubted their potential step onto stages, into classrooms, and into leadership roles with a new sense of identity. They were no longer defined by circumstance. They were defined by vision, and vision changes everything. In times of crisis, speed matters. In 2026, rapid response initiatives mobilized support for communities affected by natural disasters and economic instability. Relief efforts were not just reactive, they were strategic. Supplies were delivered efficiently. Local partnerships ensured cultural understanding and effective distribution. The difference between chaos and coordination is preparation, and this year preparation translated into lives stabilized and communities rebuilt. But beyond programs and projects, the true heartbeat of this year was connection. When people feel seen, they begin to believe again. When they are heard, they start to heal. Across every initiative, there was an emphasis on human connection, on creating spaces where individuals felt valued, respected, and empowered. We invested in mental health resources because transformation is not only physical or financial, it is emotional. Workshops, support groups, and coaching programs provided tools for resilience in a world that often feels overwhelming. Individuals learned how to shift perspective, manage stress, and reconnect with purpose. Because when you change the way you see the world, you change the way you experience it. Partnerships expanded globally, uniting organizations, corporations, and community leaders under a shared mission. Collaboration replaced competition. Resources multiplied because trust was built. When alignment happens at the level of values, momentum becomes unstoppable. Innovation played a defining role this year. Technology enhanced outreach, improved transparency, and strengthened accountability. Donors saw the direct impact of their contributions. Communities had greater access to digital learning platforms, data-guided decisions, ensuring that every action was intentional and every dollar created measurable results. Yet behind every statistic is a story. a young student who received school supplies and mentorship and went on to lead a community initiative, a single parent who attended a resilience workshop and began a small business, a volunteer who arrived to serve food and left transformed by the experience of giving. Service changes the giver as much as the receiver. That truth echoed through every event, every outreach program, every gathering of people united by purpose. Contribution creates fulfillment. When individuals realize that their actions matter, their lives gain meaning. This year also reinforced a powerful principle. Sustainable change requires empowerment, not dependency. Programs were designed to equip individuals with skills, confidence, and networks so that support became a stepping stone rather than a permanent crutch. Training in financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and leadership ensured that assistance today translated into independence tomorrow. Communities were encouraged to become architects of their own growth. Leaders were identified and developed from within and developed from within. When change is community-driven, it becomes enduring. The ripple effect of collective action was undeniable. One act of generosity inspired another. One story of transformation sparked a chain reaction of belief. Momentum built steadily, fueled by individuals who refused to accept limitation as destiny. As the year unfolded, challenges arose, as they always do. Economic pressures, global uncertainty, and logistical obstacles tested resolve. But adversity is not a barrier. It is a catalyst. It reveals commitment. It strengthens innovation. It forces clarity of mission. Every challenge reinforced the core belief that progress is not linear. There are setbacks. There are lessons. There are moments when doubt whispers loudly. But when purpose is stronger than fear, forward motion continues. 2026 became a year defined by resilience. Not the quiet endurance of survival, but the bold resilience of growth. The kind that says, we will not only overcome, we will elevate. Events brought together thousands who shared stories of transformation. The energy in those rooms was electric, not because of spectacle, but because of possibility. People saw proof that change is real. They witnessed individuals who had moved from hardship to strength. Evidence replaces skepticism. When people see what is possible, belief becomes tangible. Gratitude flowed in every direction, toward donors who trusted the mission, toward volunteers who gave their time and energy, toward partners who provided expertise and resources, toward communities who opened their doors and their hearts. Gratitude is not just appreciation, it is recognition of interconnectedness. The year also emphasized leadership at every level. Leadership is not a title, it is a choice. It is the decision to act when action is needed. Across programs, individuals stepped into leadership roles, organizing local drives, mentoring peers, advocating for resources. Empowered individuals empower others. A culture of accountability ensured that impact was not accidental. Clear goals were set. Progress was tracked. Lessons were documented. Continuous improvement became a standard practice, not an afterthought. Excellence is a habit built through discipline and reflection. As months passed, the accumulation of small wins created monumental outcomes. A workshop here, a scholarship there, a meal distributed, a family supported. Individually, each act may seem modest. Collectively, they reshape communities. Stories from across regions illustrated a common theme. When people feel supported, they dare to dream bigger. Dreams are not luxuries. They are blueprints for the future. When individuals are given permission to envision a better life, they begin to take the steps necessary to create it. In 2026, the focus remained clear. Meet immediate needs while building long-term capacity. Relief and empowerment worked hand in hand. Urgency did not compromise strategy. Compassion did not replace accountability. The balance between heart and execution defined the year's success. There were moments of profound emotion. Families reunited with stability, students achieving milestones once considered unreachable, communities celebrating renewed strength. These moments were reminders that impact is deeply human. It cannot be reduced to spreadsheets alone. Volunteers shared how serving others reignited their own sense of purpose. Donors expressed that seeing tangible outcomes deepened their commitment. Staff members described the fulfillment that comes from aligning daily work with meaningful mission. Alignment between values and action creates extraordinary energy. The year also underscored a timeless truth. We rise by lifting others. Individual success is powerful, But collective progress is transformative. When systems are designed to elevate the many, not just the few, society shifts. Youth leadership initiatives expanded, recognizing that the next generation holds both urgency and creativity. Programs cultivated critical thinking, communication skills, and ethical leadership. Young voices were not only heard, they were amplified. Economic empowerment efforts provided practical tools, training in budgeting, entrepreneurship, and digital skills. Access to resources combined with guidance created pathways out of limitation. Confidence grew as competence expanded. Global outreach efforts strengthened cross-cultural collaboration. Shared humanity transcended borders. When communities in different regions connect through common purpose, understanding deepens and solutions become more innovative. Every milestone reached this year was a reminder that transformation is not accidental. It is engineered through clarity of vision, consistency of action, and unwavering belief in human potential. As the calendar turned and milestones were marked, one theme remained constant: possibility. Not the abstract idea of possibility, but the lived experience of it. Families experienced relief. Students experienced opportunity. Communities experienced renewal. The story of 2026 is written not in ink, but in impact. It is written in strengthened families, empowered youth, resilient communities, and individuals who discovered that their circumstances do not define their destiny. It is written in the courage of those who chose to give, to serve, to build, to believe. And with every life touched, every barrier challenged, every belief expanded, the momentum continues to build, fueled by the understanding that transformation is not reserved for a few. It is available to all who are willing to step forward, contribute, and create a future greater than the past, a future shaped by action, strengthened by unity, and driven by the relentless conviction that the best way to predict tomorrow is to build it today, one decision, one act of service, one empowered life at a time, expanding outward into families, into neighborhoods, into cities, into nations, creating a movement rooted in compassion and sustained by commitment, where growth becomes a shared responsibility and impact becomes a shared victory, where every challenge becomes an invitation to innovate, every setback becomes a lesson in resilience, and every success becomes a platform to elevate others even higher, reinforcing again and again that real change begins the moment someone decides that enough is enough and takes the first bold step forward into contribution, into leadership, into possibility. As we reflect on 2026, what stands out is not only the scale of impact, but the depth of transformation. This year proved that when vision is matched with action, extraordinary outcomes follow. Lives were strengthened, communities were empowered, and hope was restored in places where uncertainty once prevailed. Every meal delivered, every student supported, every family uplifted represents more than assistance. It represents belief put into motion. The collective effort of partners, volunteers, and supporters demonstrated that sustainable change is possible when compassion is paired with strategy and commitment. Progress did not happen by chance. It happened because people chose to care, to contribute, and to lead. The momentum created this year is not temporary, it is foundational. It sets the stage for even greater expansion, deeper service, and broader empowerment in the years ahead, reminding us that lasting transformation begins with the decision to act and continues with the courage to persist.